Hello and welcome to another IELTS Essay Correction. And in this question, we'll be basically focusing on the structure part. But another important issue in this essay you'll notice is that the student has tried to use a variety of vocabulary, and um, this is an impression among students in general that they should try to change the words within the question, and that will somehow show that they have a wider vocabulary, which is a misconception. You should try to use the words written in the statement. The reason is sometimes the words you use, they are not exact synonyms of the words used in the question statement. So we'll be going through a number of these mistakes. These fall under the lexical resource mistakes. The student has uh, made a number of such mistakes, and we'll be discussing during the course of this discussion. Um, for instance, let me begin with the first mistake. I've not highlighted over here, but it exists. People follow members of parliaments because they create and implement laws and policies which shape a nation. Now, members of parliaments are politicians. There's no doubt these are politicians, but there are number of politicians who are not members of parliaments, and they are influential. If you go to United States, there are senators, and there are no members of parliament. They're members of uh, House of Lords, for instance, or even in India, there are members of Legislative Assembly. So there are institutions where politicians are not exactly called members of parliament, and using this is not incorrect, but it is less correct. There are a number of other places where the student has incorrectly used the vocabulary, and we'll be coming to that. If you go through these two sentences, they are written in a number of words. However, the meaning could have been conveyed in fewer words. The student write, people follow members of parliament because they create and implement laws and policies which shape a nation. Whereas scientists solve mysteries of universe and develop new technologies, people get influenced by scientists because these things fascinate them. Um, since people are being influenced by both politicians as well as scientists, you can keep the influence part. This is how you structure a sentence. You can keep the influence part common and assume this is a mathematical equation. You keep scientists and politicians inside the bracket. Okay, so influence is common for scientists as well as politicians. Now try writing it again. While one group derives its influence from, so this is common thing, from ability to legislate laws that shape a society, the other group is influential. This is again a repetition of the idea because it needs to be attached to both. But in essentially, it works influence for scientists, influence for politicians. This is how you make a compound sentence. The other group is influential because of latest inventions that design the future of humanity. Now, what exactly is vocabulary? A student once called me and asked, how can I shape my vocabulary? How can I improve it? Now, you could have used shape at both these places. Shape a society, shape the design of humanity. When you try to use different words in such situations, that builds your vocabulary. Not changing the words over here. If you're changing politicians or scientists or even influence, if you're changing these words, you are compromising the integrity of your answer. You're compromising the meaning of your answer. Do not try to change them. Try to give different meanings over here. Okay? So we'll be discussing a number of these things. Even ability to legislate laws. You always legislate laws. You do not make laws. So this is lexical resource. Ability to legislate. This is lexical resource. Even this is collocation. So you have to make this a habit of using the right combination of words. I admire both political leaders and researchers because of their roles and work. This question is not about what you admire. This question is about which group is influential. And I believe that you wish to speak or wish to communicate that both are equally influential. So that's why I written, I believe both groups are equally influential. So there were a few mistakes in the introduction. Let us come to body paragraph one, where there are a bit more. There are a number of mistakes, and we'll go through them. Yeah, this is body paragraph one. Um, Now, in this part, I would like to highlight um, two or three main issues. First is the student has begun with idea one. In body paragraph one should have idea one, and it should be sufficiently explained. Now, what exactly has the student done? So, explanation one. In politics, one of the most vivid reasons people get influenced, it's a passive voice, it has to be influenced by a member of parliament is their speech. Now, nowhere in the introduction have you mentioned about the speech. You had mentioned about the laws and policies, not about the speech. So, if you are discussing something in body paragraphs, try to mention that in the introduction as well. So, this is one point. You've just mentioned laws and policies in introduction, not the speech. The art of communication is the language of leadership, and people follow them who has. Now, people follow them. This is plural, who have, and the right connecting devices. Those who have this art. For example, Mr. Narendra Modi became Prime Minister of India from a tea seller. There was no need of writing this during his amazing speech. It is not just one speech that Mr. Modi gave, he gave thousands of speeches. So, talk about his skills. What sort of skills? Oratorical skills. So, is a great orator. So, his oratorical skills played an instrumental role in he becoming the Prime Minister of India. He has millions of followers around the world. Now, try to link these two sentences. These two are simple sentences, and then if they are merged they can become a better sentence. Now what you have to do is use this part. You already have written this. What you have to do is write this as an adjective clause. To use an adjective pronoun who. Now Mr. Narendra Modi who became the Prime Minister of India in 2014, so it has to be an adjective clause. This will simplify the things. Now adjective clauses are not the part of the main sentence. They are extra information that you wish to convey. So the main sentence is Mr. Narendra Modi has millions of followers due to his excellent oratorical skills. But you want to give additional information about Mr. Modi. So who became the Prime Minister of India in 2014? This is additional information. So this is how you use the adjective. Somewhere written over here. Yeah, adjective clause. This is how you use an adjective clause. If you have any doubt, please feel free to email me. Another important factor that portrays politicians as heroes is their work. Now, this is the mistake I'm talking about. The vocabulary or lexical resource mistake. You are using the word heroes. That does not necessarily mean that they have influence. Okay, the focus here should be influence of politicians. So these words are inaccurate and they do not convey the same meaning as the question statement. So this is one issue. Sorry, this is one issue. Um, then instead of explaining this further, what exactly is the work? This is not clear. So there's not only a lexical resource issue, there is an ambiguity in the answer as well. So try to be specific. Try to write what exactly is work. So is it framing of laws? So you wrote very specific things over here, framing of laws and policies. Try to include that over here. I'm sorry, over here. And be a bit more specific. Then explain what is work, what are the laws and policies and how they help. Instead of doing that, you jump to the next point. They serve the nation, develop and implement plans for betterment of society. How do they implement and how do they develop these plans? How does that make the society better? Do something, explain something. This lacks explanation. Okay? So I've written a sample over here. Moreover, politicians also derive their influence from their ability to enact, formulate, legislate laws and policies. So this is collocation and this is using the right words that builds your vocabulary score. Without these strong policies, now this is the idea and idea one, and I'll be explaining this idea in further sentences. Without these, these is used as a referencing device. Strong policies and law, scientists cannot implement their inventions commercially. So scientists, in other words, are dependent on politicians. So this is the sense of this sentence. For example, the invention of radioactivity. This is a specific example to treat patients only after adequate laws were framed. The role of laws and science in helping the patients. However, laws were more important than science. This gives immeasurable influence to politicians to shape the future of humanity. So, if you have any question regarding this, I think I have explained it amply. If you have still any other issue, please let me know and we will discuss it. Now, let us come to body paragraph 2. Body paragraph 2. Now, it has to be on scientists since the student holds an opinion that both are equally influential. A scientist does what a politician cannot do. Okay, this is fine. Therefore, some people see scientists as are the more influential beings. Now, it is not about discuss both views and give your opinion. Had it been discuss both views and give your opinion, you could have simply said some people see scientists. Now, this is about your opinion. The nature of question is different, and you're taking a balanced opinion. So it has to be your opinion. You see scientists, and you cannot say that I see scientists as most influential because in the previous body paragraph, you had mentioned that politicians are more influential. So you have to take a balanced opinion that, okay, scientists also enjoy considerable influence due to their immense contributions to the development of human civilization. So try writing a sentence that is a balance, that shows a balance between scientists and politicians. I hope the point is clear. Scientists invent inventions. This seems strange. This is exactly a vocabulary issue. You are not using a different word. The invention is derived from invent, and there's a repetition over here. So they invent new products and develop new techniques to make the world a better place. Many scientific inventions make our lives easier and safe. Then you have stuck just to electricity. For example, an English scientist invented life-changing discovery electricity. It cannot be discovery if it is invention. It cannot be invention if it is a discovery. So stay safe. Do not stick to just one idea of electricity. Mention a number of things. The invention of electricity, telephone, computers, and air conditioners have made our life comfortable. Then explain a bit about them. Today we cannot imagine our life without these inventions. And try to explain how exactly these scientists have gained considerable influence. So write about how exactly they serve the human civilization, how they have helped in building the human civilization. So these are the points you should consider while writing this paragraph. Finally, the student has made another mistake over here. I think both leaders and researchers. Now, this is again a mistake. I was just discussing the vocabulary mistake. Leaders are not, I'm sorry, I wrote it wrong over here. All leaders are not politicians. I will correct it in the draft. Politicians, not all leaders are politicians. There are team leaders, there are corporate leaders, there are army leaders, and there are a number of leaders, and not all leaders are politicians. Not all researchers are scientists. I've seen a number of researchers who are social, or doing work on society, and some are researching on literature. They're not scientists. So this is a lexical resource issue. There are minor other issues with this conclusion, but I'm not focusing on that. There are a number of serious issues that the student needs to address. Basically, it comes down to right expression of idea and right explanation of that idea. Okay, so I hope you liked the video. Subscribe to the channel and Stay tuned for more interesting IELTS essay corrections, essay samples, as well as speaking answers. Thank you for watching.